Now, it's the law in England and Wales that everyone is considered to have given their consent to organ donation unless you've opted out. Max and Keira's law won the backing of MPs in March 2019, but the system known as deemed consent is not in place in Northern Ireland. I've been speaking to Marcin McGavin, whose 3-year-old son, Dahi, has been waiting for a heart transplant for over 2 years, and the Ulster Unionist MLA, Roy Beggs. I began by asking Marcin what would happen if Dahi didn't get a heart transplant soon.
Well, it's very black and white, to be honest. If Dahi doesn't get a heart transplant, he'll die. He won't make it. And Dahi was, with Dahi's condition, he was supposed to get 3 bouts of open heart surgery, and he was supposed to get a procedure any time now, really, called the Fontan procedure. And he's been ruled out of that procedure because he has a severe leaky valve. Without that procedure, there is no long-term future for Dahi. So that's why he's been placed on the transplant list, and he'll be on the transplant list for 2 years on 1st of June.
Look, I know this is an uncomfortable question. How much time has your son got to get a heart?
Well, to be honest, it's something that we think about every day. And, Dahi has we have a 3-month review, and every 3 months its heart has remained stable, Dahi's remained stable. But to be very honest with you, Stephen, I have been researching myself, and with Dahi's current circulation of the 2nd stage operation, which is known as the Glen, I haven't seen anybody older than maybe 6 or 7 years old. And we've been told, there was a plan put in place for Dahi. There was a plan put in place for Dahi before he was born, and we were told that he would need this surgery anytime when he's between 3 and 5. But when things started going wrong with Dahi, his cardiology team wanted to have it sooner rather than later. So they said between 2 and maybe 4. So Dahi's in that bracket now.
Yeah. And I think as we, sometimes a political story can be just that. It's a political story, and it comes and goes, and, there's a little bit of argy-bargy, whatever, and the next day we're on to something new. I think when we hear here this story, this is about life and death. This is about trying to keep a 3-year-old little boy alive, and clearly, a dad who loves him to bits, and you're fighting for your son. And that's why this political story is more than just a story. It's about the fact that in England, there is the automatic organ opt-in. You don't opt out. Sorry, you don't have to opt in. You're automatically presumed to be opting in. Why is that not here in Northern Ireland? The Ulster Unionist MLA Roy Beggs is with us this morning. Roy, thanks for joining us. And what's the hold-up, Roy?
Well, of course, Joanne Dobson, way back in 2013, started the process of her private member's bill to try and bring a soft opt-out scheme into Northern Ireland. And it ultimately, her private member's bill was ditched by the DUP and Sinn Féin at the Health Committee, and then voted down in the Chamber. It's really so sad that happened, because at the same time it was introduced in Wales, and there's been a real success story there with increasing numbers of people who are wanting to positively join the register. There's also been lower than anticipated those opting out. But the bottom line is that there has been considerably greater numbers consenting to donate their organs, so that someone in badly need of a vital organ can benefit, and their quality of life, and indeed life itself, can be provided.
And what is your view, Roy, on those people who are entitled, because it's a deeply held view, to feel like the human body is so personal and so precious that it is their right to decide whether they're donating something rather than the state being presumptuous about it?
Well, that's the beauty of the soft opt-out scheme. You can register that you will not donate your organs, and that will not be overruled. That's black and white. The other aspect is even if you haven't indicated, if there is an issue and your family are not content, the clinicians are never happy to proceed against a family's wishes. So we still provide the protection. But what it has done is change the conversation. It's made people much more open. It's made people more willing to come on and share their stories about how someone can benefit from an organ donation.
Sure.
And we all would want that for our loved one or for ourselves.
But there's no change in the pipeline, is there?
The legislation has changed in England, Scotland and Wales. They are all benefiting, and we're stuck in the past. I have no doubt that, given some more time, that the new Minister for Health will take a completely different look at this. Unfortunately, he's got tied up in the current coronavirus crisis.
Has he spoken to you about it, Roy?
I haven't spoken to him of recent times about it, but I know my Ulster Unit's colleagues, when this was being discussed in the Assembly back in 2015-16, actually they were unanimous. Though anybody who did have any doubts, and I can't remember anybody, they had that safety clause that if you didn't want your organs to be donated, you signed up and your organs would never be donated.
Well,
so what's the argument?
Well, Martin, you're listening to this today, and I emphasise again, you're the real life example of this. What would you say to the Northern Ireland Executive this morning about the timeline of when this might or might not happen, and how important it is for them to at least make a decision on it either way soon?
Well, Stephen, I can give an update on. We've had correspondence with the minister and the minister's office. So any time we've had any correspondence with Minister Swan, it's been very positive. And we actually had a meeting scheduled with Minister Swan for the 23rd of March, and obviously that was postponed because of the COVID-19 pandemic. So we're really hoping that this is over as soon as possible, so that we can get back, talking these important subjects, and that we've had a commitment from the minister's office that they are willing to meet with us when this settles down, because he is tied up at the minute. But to be honest, we're now in a position where we just can't wave a magic wand and this will come into effect. It's going to take a few years to pass through. It's going to then, you're going to have a phase-in stage, and then you're going to have a few years to see it come into effect. So at this stage, with all those years that I just said, that could be 10 years before you could see the benefit of it. That's why this needs to happen now. And we've had the pleasure of meeting Joanne Dobson, and she has been a supporter of the campaign, and she has done remarkable work to get this, to put that out there. But the ideal option, I suppose, would be for Minister Swan to introduce this as an executive bill. Or we've also met with the Health Committee, and Colin Gildernew from the Health Committee released a statement. He's also the chair of the Health Committee. He released a statement the other day to saying, calling for the introduction of soft opt-out here. So it may be an idea for also to take forward as a committee bill as well, because we've seen with private members' bills, it's very easy for private members' bills to become politicised, and
Sure.
we don't want this to be politicised. It should not be politicised.
I hear you.
Unfortunately, it does become politicised.
I hear you. Well, first of all, Roy Beggs, thank you very much indeed for coming on this morning. Martin, I wish you and your son and your family well, and let's hope that little Dahi gets a new heart soon. And thank you very much indeed for talking to us today. Thank you.